What's up, everybody, and welcome to my top 10 Adam Sandler movies. This is kind of a collab of sorts. I got a very good friend of mine, Abbott Skelding, who has been one of my oldest friends. He was my best friend growing up when I lived in Ohio all the way through grade school until I moved. And then there was a few years where I couldn't talk to him, and then the loving gift, or curse, depending on how you view it, of social media came along, and I was able to contact him, kept our friendship going. He was actually one of my first guests, one of my only guests whenever I was doing my podcast before I did YouTube. And he's been doing a podcast basically before I even did mine. So 5-6 years now, I think he's been doing one. And his latest iteration of his podcast is the T5 podcast, where they talk about the top 5 of anything and everything that you can think of. They're still pretty young, so there's not a ton of episodes, but there's a lot of variety. You have like top 5 pop songs, top 5 fast food French fries, and then the one that I actually guested on a couple of weeks ago, top 5 Jim Carrey movies. I believe the episode just before, maybe 2 episodes before the Jim Carrey episode that I was a guest on, he did his top 5 Adam Sandler movies, and I was like, you know what? I want to be able to do a top 10 of a couple of actors just to kind of change it up a little bit. So I told him I would do this top 10 Adam Sandler movies to join in on the fun of the episode that I missed and direct all of you to his podcast to check out the episode that I was a part of and to subscribe and check out his other episodes. So the link down below to the T5 podcast is down below. Check it out, please. It's on Spotify, a couple of the other places that you guys love to use for your audio podcasts. Check it out. Tell him Cody sent you, and leave some awesome comments down below for him to check out. So, hey, Universal Remote still works. All right, guys, so on top of everything that past Cody just told you about, be sure to stick around for this video and pay attention, because later on, I'm going to tell you how to save some money on an awesome online learning community called Skillshare, who is actually a sponsor of this video. So sit tight, enjoy the top 10 Adam Sandler movies, and wait to hear about Skillshare. Oh, yeah. Now, with all that being said, down to the nitty-gritty, the reason why we are here to talk about Adam Sandler. Now, Adam Sandler is one of those guys that when I grew up, an Adam Sandler movie was basically an event film. That was like the movie of the year when I was a kid. It was like, oh my God, something's coming out with Adam Sandler. Nothing else matters until I see that movie. Things have changed. The past 10, 15 years or so have not been too friendly to his filmography due to probably a lot of his own choices, but there is still a ton of movies that I celebrate as a fan, that a lot of us celebrate, that are just absolute comedy classics. So this was actually kind of a tough list to come up with. I do have a few honorable mentions that I wanted to go over, and they are, in no particular order: Uncut Gems, brand new movie that everybody said that he should have gotten an Oscar for, or at least got a nomination for. Thought it was very good, thought that he was really good in it. I don't think it's his best performance, though. Reign Over Me, however, I believe is his best performance. It's a very good, dramatic movie with him and Don Cheadle about the aftermath of 9/11 and mental disability and the healing power of friendship. Very good movie, check it out. Funny People, a movie that definitely is when Judd Apatow started to get a little long in the tooth, started to have a little bit too much freedom with what he could do, not really reining in his editing a bit, and a movie where the comedy certainly started to fall victim to the drama, but still a very good movie and a very good Adam Sandler performance. Little Nicky, I gotta show a little bit of love for Little Nicky. If you showed me this movie for the first time now, I would probably hate it because of the voice that he does. I think this was one of the first flops that Adam Sandler ever had, but much like how in the episode of the T5 podcast, Abbott talks about kind of the nostalgic memories of watching this movie with me, I had that same nostalgia of watching this movie with him, where we were like kind of the heavy metal kids, we were the outcasts, and you watch this, and this is very much, not so much of a devil movie, it's much more of a heavy metal movie where the devil and the devil's sons and everything are just happen to be characters in it, because the whole culture and the humor and the side characters in this, very much a heavy metal centric Adam Sandler movie, and I've always enjoyed it. The voice, like I said, if you showed this to me for the first time now, I would probably hate it, but it's always been something that I've tolerated very easily because something about this movie just works for me. I don't know how else to say it. Airheads, an absolutely stupid movie that is awesome because I'm a heavy metal fan, and if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And The Longest Yard, which I actually kind of forgot about when I was preparing this list. I was watching a few Adam Sandler movies, and I was like, you know, I haven't seen The Longest Yard in years, and it's way funnier than I remember it being, so a pretty good little remake. Now, with those honorable mentions out of the way, kicking it off with number 10 for my top 10 Adam Sandler movies, And I apologize ahead of time if this pick offends anybody. I'm going to try to defend it as best as I can because I know it's not, probably in today's culture, the most politically correct movie in the world. I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry. This movie has always been hilarious to me, and not in a mean way. I actually think the movie has more heart and has a lot more good intentions than people probably nowadays would want to give it credit for. It is about two heterosexual men pretending to be gay to get money from the government, and nowadays that movie probably would never get made. But it's all about kind of not being hateful. It's all about trying to accept other mindsets, other sexualities, other lifestyles that you might not understand, but accepting them as being just as valid as yours. I think the movie has a lot of skill in bringing that storyline to light with a lot of comedy. I think that Kevin James and Adam Sandler have a lot of really good chemistry with each other. Their movies that they've chosen to do with each other is not so great, but I do think this is the best one of those two. And I just like all of the humor involved with, especially Adam Sandler's character, who's an absolute hornball, trying to pretend to be a homosexual man. You got Jessica Biel in here. Oh my God, yes. This is just a funny movie. I think it's definitely, it's not a movie that everybody loves. It's never been movies that I've seen on a lot of the top 10 lists, top 5 lists of Adam Sandler. It's not the most celebrated movie in the world, but I think there's a lot of really good intentioned humor in here, especially Ving Rhames. Ving Rhames is awesome too. I gotta give him a shout out. He's fucking hilarious in this movie as the closeted guy that everybody thinks is an axe murderer. It's a funny movie. I don't know what else I can tell you. Humor is subjective. This one makes me laugh. Number 9 is going to be 50 First Dates. It was originally 50 First Kisses. Yeah, I told you. Back in the day, I paid attention when Adam Sandler was making movies. This is the second time that he collabed with Drew Barrymore, and I think that it is definitely a very good romantic comedy. We're not going to talk about the third one that they did. That will not be on this list. But as far as rekindling the magic that they had with Wedding Singer, I think the movie does very good. As far as negatives, there are some humor in this movie and some jokes that I think fall absolutely flat, and it's definitely too stupid for its own good in some spots. But this story about this woman who has basically 24 hours of memory, and every single day the clock resets and they basically have to live the same day over and over and over again. And for somebody like Adam Sandler who falls in love with her, she has to fall in love with him again every single day. And just the message in there about the sacrifice of love, like if you love somebody, are you willing to go through this much to be with them? I think it's actually very sweet. It's actually a very heartfelt romantic comedy concept, but it does have some genuinely good laughs in here. All the little skits and the little schemes that he has to make her fall in love with him every single day while trying not to repeat the same thing over and over. I think that, I forget the actor's name, but I always remember him as Sean's dad in Boy Meets World and The Cajun Man. He's a really good actor in this as the father, and then you've got Sean Astin as kind of like the muscular wannabe brother. There's a lot of humor with them. I just think it's a very good romantic comedy, and for the high bar that the Wedding Singer sets, I think they do pretty good at trying to rekindle all of that magic with 50 First Dates. Number 8 is one of what I will call the last great Adam Sandler movies, and that is Click. Click, where you have this universal remote that controls his universe, where he's able to fast forward through family events, or fast forward to his promotion, or pause his wife, or mute her when she's yelling at him, or change the color of himself, just control his entire universe. It's a great concept. There's a lot of great comedy in here, but the movie really kind of slides a lot of heartstring drama in here that you did not expect. This was when Adam Sandler started to have a little bit more maturity to his movies, and I don't think people were ready for it yet. There's certainly some people that I know, I believe Abbott is one of them, that is not a fan of this movie because of that sudden heartfelt stuff at the end that actually makes you want to cry. But actually, it's one of the reasons why I love this movie, where he starts to value the things in his life that he used to want to just fast forward through and skip over and just not be present for. All of a sudden, all those little things, it's like, I want all of them back. They seemed insignificant, but they're so important. That's my life, and now my life is gone. And where that goes in the end, it's very heartbreaking. But again, Adam Sandler's best movies always have this nice message kind of ringing throughout them, and this whole cherishing the little things and cherishing your time with your family, I think rings pretty true with Click, and it's just a genuinely good movie that I wish he would get back to doing things like that. Number 7 is Anger Management. You take Adam Sandler and you take one of the greatest actors of all time and Jack Nicholson, and you put them together and hilarity ensues. This is another one that when it was coming out, I remember watching the trailer constantly online back when movies had like websites you could go to, and there's like screenshots, trailer, and release date. And I used to watch this trailer just anticipating the hell out of this. And this whole concept of the gentle, shy, quiet, kind of timid version of the Adam Sandler character being launched into this anger management program because of this misconception of what went on in this airplane, and again, some post 9/11 humor, that he suddenly has to go through this whole thing like he's this violent, angry person, and you have this crazy crackpot character played by Jack Nicholson who's kind of guiding him through, and this whole plot that's underneath all of it that kind of reveals itself in the end. It's a very funny movie. When you start to get into the actual meetings and you've got like John Turturro and other characters, all the classic Adam Sandler gang is all there as like these angry people that have different addictions, and it's a very funny movie that I think that the two leads have great comedic chemistry, and it's something to where I watch it and I'm like, you know, I want to see more comedic stuff out of Jack Nicholson. Number 6, this might be sacrilege for some that it's not even in the top 5, but again, this is a very tough list to make. Billy Madison. This was kind of the movie that launched Adam Sandler's movie career, if I remember correctly. This was one of the first ones where people really took notice of him as a leading guy and a lead comedic guy. The whole concept of this, 20-year-old douchebag, drunk, I think he probably uses drugs too, but basically the worst example of a responsible adult possible, suddenly having to go back to kindergarten and relive every single one of the grades up to 12th grade and reclaim his diploma as his own. That's a genius concept. And it's definitely one of those types of movies where it might be dated humor if you try to show it to somebody nowadays, but back in the day when that kind of Adam Sandler man-child humor was the shit, this movie is hilarious, where you just see all the crazy little hijinks that he gets into, all the ways that he interacts with these different age levels of kids, and the teacher, Veronica Vaughn, so hot. That whole thing, that relationship carried through that nowadays, again, a movie that probably would never be made because of all of the teachers sleeping with kids. Where was that shit when I was a kid? All of that stuff going through just makes this a gem of a time to where these types of comedies came out in the 90s and they probably would never work nowadays, but you go back and you watch them and just that very simple schlub humor still works very well, and it actually ages surprisingly well for me. Love Billy Madison. Number 5, possibly the most underrated movie on this list to me, and that is Bulletproof. This movie is an absolute gut-busting laugh riot for me. I love Adam Sandler, full-on rated R Adam Sandler. This is the only time you saw him be rated R in a movie until you got to like Funny People, or maybe Punch Drunk Love. Sorry, somebody's gonna fact check me. But as far as comedies, this is one where you have him and Damon Wayans, to where Adam Sandler's a criminal, Damon Wayans is an undercover cop. He's been pretending to be friends with Adam Sandler for over a year to get to this drug dealer played by James Caan. And once the truth is revealed, they turn from friends into enemies, but they are forced to be with each other because of this witness protection thing going on. And it's just absolutely hilarious seeing that relationship flip. And now Damon Wayans, who's this hardened cop, has to just tolerate Adam Sandler as he's trying to escape constantly, as he's digging at him, as he's calling him a piece of shit and a fake friend. It's hilarious how far it goes. I love James Caan as a villain. I don't understand why this isn't hailed as one of his better films. Maybe it's just my subjective humor, but if you have not seen Bulletproof, of all the movies on this list, give Bulletproof a shot. Number 4 is Big Daddy. Again, kind of going to the more dramatic side of Adam Sandler when he starts to have some more heartfelt stuff in the storyline. This is one of the best movies of his as far as really trying to tug on your heartstrings. It's a movie about, again, kind of like a Billy Madison type character, a character that Adam Sandler very much made famous, and that was kind of like his typecast role as this man-child. This late 20s, early 30s guy that has no direction, works one day a week, loses his girlfriend because he doesn't really have any ambition to do anything, suddenly has this kid dropped off on his doorstep, and he has to become a father very suddenly. And for those of us that are parents, a lot of it rings true, especially for a lot of the humor here. But even if you're not a parent, just the hijinks that they get into, where this guy who, especially for the first half or so of the movie, has no business teaching any kids anything, is suddenly parenting this kid, letting him dress how he wants, letting him rename himself Frankenstein, and he's throwing sticks down on the ground to trip rollerbladers and all this hilarious shit, that the movie slowly starts to slip in that heartfelt stuff where he suddenly starts to feel really fond of this kid, starts to fall in love with this kid, and really wants to be a permanent parent for him, and the legal struggles that come along with that. It's just a very good movie. It's a movie that I don't really put in as much as some of the other more comedy-heavy Adam Sandler movies, but every single time that I do, I'm reminded how much of a really good movie Big Daddy is. Welcome to the top 3, baby! Bam! It is that time, everybody. So, thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. If you guys have heard me talk about them before, you already know how awesome they are. Skillshare is an online learning community. They have tons of classes and different modules out there for just about any subject that you could think of. It's a community where you have other people that have the same interests, the same goals of what to learn and how to expand the horizons as you are. So it's not just you looking at a bunch of tutorial videos, it's actually you engaging with other people with the same interests as you. There's things out there that I've been looking into, such as photography, trying to expand some of my horizons with all of that. Low budget filmmaking, if I want to expand some of the skits that I do at the beginning of my videos a little bit more, get a little bit more technical with it, or maybe even one day do a short film or some kind of a fan film. And in a time like today, when a lot of us are stuck at home, when a lot of us can't go out and do all the things that we typically filled out our day with, what better time than to spend your energy learning some new things, expanding your horizons, gaining some new skills, and meeting a lot of really cool people, interacting with them along the way. So if you guys want to check out Skillshare, if you're interested and you want to join in on all of the fun and all of the learning going on, be sure to check out the link down below. A premium membership to Skillshare is only going to run you less than $10 per month. But wait, if you click the link down below in the video description, the first 1,000 people to click that link is going to get 2 months of premium Skillshare for free. So do not let this opportunity pass you. Definitely check out Skillshare. Thank you guys for sponsoring this video. Thank you all for watching, and back to the show. Number 3 is The Waterboy. The Waterboy is an absolute classic. This is one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies because it has all of the different elements that you want, because there is some heartfelt stuff here as far as him kind of growing to be accepted with everybody, where they used to pick on him, they used to ridicule him, used to be like the blunt of every joke, and suddenly he becomes the heart of this football team. All of the humor involved with him and Kathy Bates, where Mama Says Everything is Like the Devil, is just absolutely classic. So many memes and like pop culture quotes come out of this movie. You can do it! Like shit like that comes from The Waterboy, and we all use it in our everyday lives, and everybody knows what we're talking about. Everybody knows what we're referencing. The Waterboy is just a great movie. It's a great comedic classic. It's Adam Sandler doing a weird Adam Sandler voice, and the one time that universally everybody just liked it and didn't have any problem with the voice. Not so much on a lot of the other movies that he's done voices with. It's got stuff in here for football fans, it's got stuff in here for Adam Sandler fans, or if you're just a general comedy fan, this movie is one that you will enjoy. Top 2, these are very hard to distinguish between sometimes. There's days where I might watch one of them and switch my list, but 90% of the time, this is how this list lays out for me. Number 2 is Happy Gilmore. This is, to me, the best sports Adam Sandler movie, and he's done quite a few of them. I believe this was right after Billy Madison. Billy Madison kind of launched his career. Happy Gilmore solidified it. This is a movie that has a lot of those Adam Sandler kind of cliches, those classics, those signatures that he comes through, where he's this man-child, this schlub, this dude who you can't help but love, but you kind of want to hate, where he thinks he's going to be this awesome hockey star, and he's absolutely terrible, and everybody just wants to make a ridicule of him. And he kind of slips his way into the golfing community because of this slap shot that he can do. You bring in Carl Weathers as Chubbs, one of the more iconic Adam Sandler side characters. Shooter McGavin, the greatest golfer of all time. One of the best antagonists of all time as well. I said in a previous video they could easily do a sequel to this and bring back Shooter McGavin with like his son. And I would pay to see it. But you have this great rivalry between them, and a lot of physical humor here, where he's this outrageous, violent, profanity-fueled hockey player that's in this very quiet, quaint sport of golf, and it just, those two things do not mix, and suddenly golf becomes like this party sport, and you got people out there showing their tits, and they got Happy Gilmore, and you got bikers out there and shit. It's a absolutely hilarious movie that, just like Billy Madison, maybe would not have worked if you put that kind of humor into a movie today, but it has actually aged surprisingly well for me. But number 1 for me, the best Adam Sandler movie, is The Wedding Singer. This movie has everything. It's a romantic comedy, so you get a little bit of heartstrings in there, you get a little bit of that flavor that you could sit down and watch this with your girlfriend or your wife, and they're not like, oh, this stupid ass movie. They can all enjoy it. It's a movie the whole family can enjoy. The soundtrack is awesome. I love the 80s. I love 80s music. Anybody that works with me will tell you that, because that's 90% of the time what I put on my playlist is 80s metal or 80s pop or whatever the hell is going on in my my little playlist there. But The Wedding Singer has a lot of those things you expect from Adam Sandler, a lot of that kind of physical humor, but this was a movie where that was kind of toned down a bit, to where it's not so much about how stupid his character is and how dumb his character is and all these like physical gags. He's actually a genuinely good guy who's smart, who's well-intentioned, but he's just stuck in this love triangle because he's this guy who kind of is at this event where everybody gets to marry their love of their life and go on to this happy life, and he's never quite the guy that gets to do that. Then you insert Drew Barrymore in here, and their chemistry is just like off the charts good. Like that's kind of the modern standard as far as from the 90s forward of romantic comedy dueling right there. Like casting is Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. There's no question why they've done 3 movies together, and we'll probably do another one before their careers are over. You have their chemistry that's awesome, and she's stuck in this relationship with this shitbag, and so he's kind of stuck in this situation where he wants to be a good friend, he wants to encourage her and let her go be happy if she's going to be happy with this guy, but at the same time, he kind of wants her, and she kind of has the same thing where she's been with this guy so long, she kind of knows he's a dick, but it's just like, I've been with him this long, I might as well follow through, and then he starts to kind of challenge that a little bit, and the whole movie is like this lack of communication to where if they just told each other their feelings, the movie would be 15 minutes long, but this constant struggle of him almost telling her and then pulling back, and her almost telling him and then pulling back, going to this awesome finale on the plane where he writes this song that's basically a song that could be on the radio, it's so good. The Wedding Singer is just an absolute classic. This is a movie that every single time that I watch it, I love it even more than I did the last time. It's the best Adam Sandler movie. Number 1, The Wedding Singer. Well, that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this top 10 Adam Sandler movies. Is there another actor you want to see me do a top 10 for or a ranking of? Let me know down in the comment section below. Be sure to check out the description down below for the link to the T5 podcast and show my buddy Abbott some love. Go over there and check out the episode we did together on our top 5 Jim Carrey movies and all the other episodes that he already has out with his podcasting collaborator. So check that out, guys. Please like and share this video and hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed it, want to check out some more. And as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean you have to be.